Good evening and welcome to this edition of Don't Shout, It's My Turn. It's the only show really which looks at issues through the eyes of students. That's what we are looking at, and the issue of course that we've taken up is the big bill that has been passed by both houses, Rajya Sabha in this session. It is perhaps the only significant legislation that has been passed out of the 9 bills that both houses have passed this session. It's the Juvenile Justice Bill. Now, before we go on to that, let me just take you through some of the main and contentious provisions of this legislation, which is now set to become the law of the land. Now, one of the things is, of course, the main thing that has been talked about a lot is that those children, minors who were between 16 and 18, they will be treated as adults if they have committed grave crimes. Now, who decides whether this is grave or not is a Juvenile Justice Board, which will be, according to the new law, be set up in every district. Apart from that, there are other things as well, that the eligibility, which haven't been looked at so much and focused on so much. You'll have the eligibility of adoptive parents and the procedure for adoption. That's been included in this bill as well. So the more empowerment to CARA, the Central Adoption Resources Agency, and also penalties for cruelty against a child offering a narcotic substance to a child. So what people have also said is that the punishment hasn't been according to the crime. These are some of the provisions of the bill that we're looking at. Now, what's interesting is that we've heard a lot of the activists, MPs, people in the know fighting about it. What's interesting is that even the young have a strong opinion about it, and I was just speaking to these students that we have of Delhi University, and they seem totally divided on it. In fact, only one seemed to go with the minority view on this, the left view on this, saying that perhaps it should have been considered much more. You said that, one of you said that. Why is it you thought that?
It was because in the Lok Sabha, while I was watching the Lok Sabha session of this particular bill, and when a few of the Congress speakers, one Shashi Tharoor in particular, the faults that he pointed out in this particular bill, they were the kind of faults that were not expected from a bill of this of such a major level. One of the faults that he pointed out was that in this bill, found to have committed and alleged to have committed have been used interchangeably, whereas these two are very different. Found is where someone has been proved guilty, but alleged, how can we use found and alleged interchangeably?
Another, you also spotted that, so another thing which you feel made it a much more rush thing, but you completely disagree with that.
Well, I completely disagree because, well, it's hard time that we need to come up with this kind of a bill. Obviously, the amendments can be made on with time, but we need to have something with us right now. This is the time of the hour, and also I personally feel that whenever we talk about the juvenile people committing such heinous crimes, they are no more juvenile. Why? Because a juvenile is a person with a sweet heart, with a kind soul, who cannot commit these kind of crimes. So whenever we are talking about all these crimes, well, obviously they become man. Why? Because a man is a person who's been judged by his actions. So here as well.
Okay, so this has been the crux of the debate really, and it's interesting to see it's not just stakeholders like activists who differ on this, even the common citizen and young people, young students also have totally contradictory opinions on it. Of course, now they say that it has gone through, so perhaps there is no other resort. Now, let me just introduce our student activists over here who are taking part in this. Prashant Mukherjee represents SFI. They've been, the left of course has been the one which have been vocally opposing. Remember, many others have totally turned it around, and we have Anmol Pawar of the AAP, the students wing of the AAP group. They of course became very active because the Delhi government, because the Delhi Commission of Women became very active. Prashant, first to you, why is it, do you all stand by what the left has been saying in Parliament? Or do all of you here in the SFI have much more evolved an argument on this?
See, basically going in a democratic procedure in the parliament, there has to be a standing committee which has to formulate such decisions. Going by the Justice Verma committee, which was formed just after the Nirbhaya case, it clearly said that to differentiate between a juvenile mind and an adolescent mind is a very critical case, and in the current juncture we should not take this forward, and there is no question of reducing the age from 18 to 16. Taking into consideration the committee which was set up by this government, and the Satyanarayan Jaita committee, which was headed by a BJP MP, Satyanarayan Jaita, it has clearly stated that at the current juncture there is no question of reducing the age. So there cannot be a superimposition of a thing. There is a democratic procedure, there has to be a proper debate. Going by the laws of psychiatrics, what the professors of NIMHANS have categorically stated, that to differentiate between 18 or 16 is a big question. In India, to have consensual sex, the age is 18.
Yeah.
POSCO says to determine, POSCO is basically protection of children from sexual offences.
Right, which gives grave, serious punishment for anyone who violates
it. Which is also 18.
Yeah.
So the UN convention, the UNCRC says it in the section 1 that it should be unanimously treated as 18 years of age. So what is the question? Where is the point in being reduced?
Anmol, do you want to counter that?
See, I completely disagree with that. Let me tell you about some facts and figures. According to National Crime Bureau, recently in the recent years, 46,784 cases have been registered against juvenile, and 70% of those cases are against women. Secondly, it is not that the criminal intent comes at a particular age. So there can't be any exceptions. Our constitution provides equality of law, and that should be equal for each and every one.
Okay, I just wanted to ask the audience, which view do you agree with much more? Yeah, you wanted to say.
Ma'am, I just want to say that in the present scenario, the conditions are very different. Now the children are mature enough, and they are no more juvenile. They are mature enough that they can be considered as an adult while considering in these cases. And of course, they must.
This keeps coming back. Yeah.
I just want to make one more point.
Yeah.
Law is a dynamic concept. It is not a static one. There are human compositions which are changing from time to time. Technologies expanding, and ideologies and vision of the people are also changing. So with the change in time, there needs to be an amendment, and which is rightfully done now.
Okay.
So I would like just to make a point.
Yeah.
The National Crime Records Bureau has recorded 46,000 cases from 2007 to 13. If you see
the figure for 2014,
I'm
and
saying
that is under
that
IPC,
that-
and
that has been-
28,000 cases have been registered
let me
under
complete. That has
SLL.
been recorded
Yeah.
from 2007 to 14. Keeping in mind the thing that in the society the crime has increased at a rate of 17.5%, and on the contrary the juvenile crime is just 1.5%, and out of those all cases 266 are the cases of rape, out of which 90 are only actual juvenile cases.
Yeah, I think
And
it's a significant
figure. Which
also the one about 1.6 crimes out of that are committed by juveniles, which perhaps hasn't been.
But anyone
See,
can't be kept out of the purview of law. Law states equality for all, and we should be treated as equal before law.
Absolutely agreeing with his point. There is a juvenile justice board. There is a punishment of 3 years.
Okay.
There is a punishment of 7 years also in the heinous of the cases. But to treat equal before the law, a society has to progress to make it a more just society, a more human society to live.
Okay.
It cannot be barbaric in nature.
Okay, I think lots in the audience want to comment on that. Yeah, what did you want to say?
I think there is a need of greater survey, because the people, the juvenile who are being accused are from the lower level, are the poor people. So in the condition, in the environment they live is a very, very different. They need a reformation. I think the age should be even increased to 20 or 21, because you are keeping them with the adolescent, and their mindset will be changed in a total matured criminal. You are further
I think
making
that's
them
true.
a
We should
more
also show
matured
the figures on
criminal.
our screen about the breakup which has been given of juvenile crime. A majority of them coming from underprivileged sections. Majority of them coming there. But one of the things,
Well, I would like to counter upon this. Well, if you talk about the people as in the juvenile which are committing such kind of heinous crimes are from the lower background, we need to think about the backdrop of that. As in what is the reason, what is the mindset behind those people that they commit such kind of heinous crimes? Is it the government which is at fault? It is the education? Is it the parents? Or is it the freedom towards the internet? So we need to discuss upon all these issues as well. As in what is the main backdrop of this for juveniles to commit such kind of heinous crimes.
Okay, let's take a short break now. When we come back, what we're going to look at is the big allegation that has been leveled, that this was done under pressure, this was done under public pressure. Is that a good thing or is that a bad thing? We'll get the students' perspective on Don't Shout coming up in just a bit.